So how do you know if you're a 3 on the Enneagram or not? It can be really tricky figuring this out. And if you are a 3, you want me to get straight to the point. No long explanations. Let's be efficient and let's get into it. I'm going to explore these 5 insights or sound bites, and each one of them stack on top of each other, helping you to determine whether indeed you are a 3 on the Enneagram or not. We're first going to look at what I call the trying to outdo my own to-do list soundbite. That might already sound familiar if you're landing in the 3 space. I'm going to cover a very important understanding of the green pole as a foundation, as a driver for 3's behaviors. We're going to layer on top of that the polarity of a 3, connecting it to the pole. Going to touch into the harmonic of a 3, which is another clue gathering exercise to really tease apart 3 as opposed to other types that are often confused with 3. And finally, to put a growth path bow on it, I'm going to tell you what the growth path is of 3 to see how strongly you relate or not. Invariably, when I suspect that someone might be a 3, I have the following discussion with them, a quick exploration, just to start getting a sense of whether they're answering from a green pole, a red pole, or a blue pole. And I call this trying to outdo my own to-do lists, which I literally heard from a 3 on the Enneagram client who said to me, "Col, I've discovered something about myself as a 3. I said, "What?" And she said, "Do you know I'm even trying to outdo my own to-do list?" Bless her. Yeah. So our beautiful 3s can be super charming when they need to be, when they want to be. And if I suspect a 3, which let's just check for you, are you the kind of person that if you're moved to, can really work a room? You can open doors, you can shake hands, you can make deals happen. There's this feeling of, I know what I need to be in order to make this happen. And probably looking for the quickest, easiest road to the top of the mountain, which of course we can call efficiency. But we can also know that sometimes there can be a dropping of the details because the eye is on the prize. Do you relate to that? Now, many Enneagram types, many of us can have competitive drivers. We can want to be efficient. We might all want to try and save time. We might want to follow our dreams and our aspirations to get to the top of the mountain as quickly as possible. The thing is, we need to check whether you are motivated by a green pole reason, because that is what a 3 on the Enneagram is. So very, very important, super important point here. The Enneagram is not based on what we do, which is why many people are mistyped, which is why many of us can get confused, because we end up saying, well, I can do that. I can do that. I can do that too. I can be like that, but we're describing doing behaviors. We can all do the same things, right? We can all, but why do we do it? We have to check. So that's why I created the pearl metaphor. So think about a grain of sand that irritates an oyster, and the oyster begins to coat that grain of sand with mother of pearl until a beautiful pearl is formed. That's how our Enneagram personalities come into being. The driver, the reason for behavior is that grain of sand. So here is an understanding of the green pearl that drives a 3 on the Enneagram. It's also very important to not see these words as separate, but to see them as working together, because we can all get embarrassed We can all be driven by heart. We can all mask to some extent, but we need to put this all together, and then we need to connect it to the polarity to really understand 3 and for you to check if you relate or not. So what we mean by heart when talking about the green pearls is the heart wants what the heart wants. That's my way of really helping you feel into this. The heart yearns, the heart desires, the heart aches, and it aches for something. Now, red pearls can have that whispering in the background, blue pearls too, but it's not a primary driver. It's not motivating. It's not the thing that makes us go left instead of right, that pushes us forward, that drives our decision making, that leverages our energy. So this is the part of us, the heart wanting. If you're a green pearl and if you're a 3, ironically, our 3s struggle to look at the heart, even though there are heart types. And what I mean by that is because of the next key word here, which is shame. I mean, seriously, do we want to, if we have that as a driver, if there is shame in the wound of that pearl, tell me how hard it is, insanely hard, to put your hand up and like, oh yes, I'm a shame type, thanks. And forgive me for the joke, but that is how tough it is. And when I work, especially with big groups, sometimes in corporates, I'm very sensitive to the fact that when we're in the territory of the green pearl, we're in the territory of that sensitivity. And even though our beautiful 3s can look very charming and confident, and it's not to say you aren't, underneath there can be that grain of sand, you see, and it feels a bit exposing to even start talking about it. So one thing that you can do to understand this is to think of it as low volume to high volume. Shame at its lowest volume is embarrassment. It's that sore feeling in the heart that gets like, I don't want people to see me in this way because it hurts. High volume of shame can really be very tough, to the point of feeling mortified, feeling self-loathing. And because this is so sensitive in the heart, our 3 on the Enneagram really doesn't want to go there, right? You're like, Cole, I don't want to have deep, meaningful conversations about my loathing and my pain. And you'll see even from the image that I've created, this cartoon, there is this pride, there is this I'm cool, I'm okay. So this is not an easy conversation. But if you're a 3 if you are a 3 and if you're a 3 that's interested in growth, you're probably sticking around the sensitivity here because you want to claim your wholeness. You want to grow into a fuller sense of who you really are. And you want to be able to stand on the top of those mountains where you've outdone your own to-do list and got there and actually feel the victory, instead of potentially getting to the top of the mountain to prove you can and then still feeling empty. And that's the tough thing that a lot of 3s discover because of the mask, that is the mask of confidence, the mask of smoothness, the mask and the image to protect us from shame, the image all bundled together. It's the heart masking so that it doesn't feel the sensitivity of that embarrassment or that shame. It's establishing worth through the to-do list. But if you knew you were whole and complete and worthy without needing to prove you can, then when you do, you can feel the sweetness of it. Make sense? Now we layer onto the pearl the polarity. And I always think of Tina Turner's song, Simply the Best, singing in my head. And yes, I know it's scary, but I have been known to sing a word or two, then swiftly apologize. I won't be doing that right now. So this image of winning and not losing, this winner versus loser, think of it as a pendulum that is trying to swing only one way and not swing back, swinging towards winning and trying to avoid losing, not for a blue pill reason or a red pill reason, but for a green pill reason, because the heart wants it and there is shame associated with losing. So what we do is we connect these words. The heart wants to be seen as a winner. There's a desire, there's a longing, and there is shame connected to losing. So therefore, there can be a mask of winning, an exaggeration of the qualities that look like a winner, and an image building of I am a winner, all to avoid the deep, agonizing, shameful, embarrassing pain of anything less than the best will not do. If that is landing, not as a, well, I like being competitive, Cole, and I also like winning. If that's landing with the resonance of this, then maybe we're on the right track and there's the possibility of 3. Let's connect in some of the other keywords. First, also flattery, competitive. This achieving is about doing, and that's why the joke around outdoing my own to-do list. There's a yes involved here. There's like, yes, I can, to prove I can. So our 3s often are overcommitted because they don't want to say no because it feels embarrassing to admit I can't. Success, super important. 3s can often be natural networkers. They know how to pick up the phone. They know how to mobilize connections. And speed is very, very important. Like how to get there faster. How to get there faster. Just looking for that thing. I'm looking for that way. I'm looking for the... And can be very entertaining. And even a 3 that's employed has a natural entrepreneurship, solution finding, natural coach, let's get it done. And that's of course going to link us into the harmonic, which we'll talk about next. So how are you relating to this? All credit to the great Enneagram teachers, Riso and Hudson, who put together, amongst many beautiful teachings, the idea of the Enneagram harmonics. So in true Cole style, and my Enneagram is a 9 that works hard to access 3, so there's a little touch of 3 in here, has taken the harmonic teaching and distilled it into an alliterated, simple structure and simple teaching. So let's see if you relate to the harmonic that 3 belongs to. So this is often called the competency harmonic. I, for the sake of alliteration, have called it the practical harmonic, or if you want to think of it as pragmatic. So 1, 3, and 5 are in this practical harmonic. So what that means is if you are in this harmonic, the first thing you need as a way of connecting to others is practicality. Move the dial, solve the problem, get something useful done. That is actually a way for our practical harmonic to bond and to connect. It's a first bridge. If you're not in the practical harmonic, you need something else. You'll need positivity first, or you will need purging first. Yes, did you spot the alliteration? So the purging is the venting. The positivity is something uplifting and inspiring or affirming. But the practical group, so why are we doing that? We need to just get into it. We need to get it done. And you can see how that feeds into the 3 winning, not losing, to the green pole. The heart wants this. And to outdoing your own to-do lists. So how do you relate to this practical harmonic? And the final step in the clue gathering to determine whether you are in fact a 3 on the Enneagram personality type is to look at the growth path of 3. Now, there's more to this, but for the sake of efficiency and for this tutorial, I'm going to focus on the main path, and that is the path to 6. Now, the way I describe this is slightly different to how other teachers work with this. I talk about this as a closed and open door. So when 3 on the Enneagram is at its lowest expression, you could think of it as the door to 6 is actually closed. And a 3 needs an open door to 6 to balance the 3. It still remains a 3, doesn't become a 6. It's a stabilizing of the 3 that happens when 6 is accessed. And to describe a low-functioning 3, a 3 that hasn't got the sunlight and water that it needs to grow, like if we walked around the garden and we spotted, the apple tree is struggling, it needs something to grow. We could spot it, we could identify it, and that's what we're doing here. We're noticing that when a 3 is at its lowest expression, we can see what's missing. And what's missing is the best of 6. So if I describe the best of 6 and you notice, either I remember a time when that was really true and it's no longer as true, but I'm still noticing it, whispering, then that's going to be helpful. If you hear this and you go, Cole, I've always been more like the 6, your 6 and 3 are connected, and you might then want to check out 6 on the Enneagram as a possibility for your type, because this needs to go together with the rest. It can't stand alone, right? So the best of 6, which is missing from 3, missing. And this one's a tough one. Let's brace ourselves. Humility. 6 has the natural humility that can almost look embarrassing to say, I don't understand. Please explain that to me. I want feedback. I want to know what I've done wrong. And that's hard for a 3. A higher functioning 3 can do that, but it still doesn't mean it's easy. It still feels like someone rubbed some salt in that heart wound to say, I don't know how to do this. I can't do this, right? Whereas a 6 is very natural. It's quite natural. So our 6s ask questions, and our 3 struggles to ask questions if the questions reveal, I don't know how to do this, which means I might not be a winner. So this is really very key. When a 3 accesses their 6, and they start to balance this out, what you find is that the success that the 3 craves and works very hard for gains substance and purpose and meaning, which makes the heart very, very happy when it's not just an image. And the word authenticity, which I know is used a lot these days, but how it expresses for a 3 is through 6. The authenticity of humility, the authenticity of, if it takes me 10 times to get this right, and I have to figure it out as I go and ask questions and learn, by the time I actually do create something, it will be of very high quality. So it's a move from quantity to quality. It's a combining of success and substance. And that is the path of 3, to not cut corners just for the sake of getting there, to actually ground themselves in. Another good key word for 6 is service. The servant and the service of 6 is very natural in a 6, whereas for a 3, it is hard earned through some hard knocks often. And then when a 3 accesses it, they can finally feel, I am worthy without needing to prove it. And of course, my invitation to you is to be very gentle with yourself around this work. You are always more than your Enneagram type. And I know it can feel extremely personal, but is it personal to spot that an apple tree needs some water and sunlight? Or is it an act of kindness? Is it an act of healing? So what we do is we look at our own personalities with tenderness and with kindness, and we be a good friend to ourselves. Your personality is in you. You are not bound in it. And when we can gain that distance and see and observe our personalities with loving kindness, we can give our personalities what they need to grow to the highest. So let me know how this lands for you. 3, not 3, still confused? The word confused would have not sat well for a 3. Still exploring, still gathering not so much information, still exploring. Let me know if this is helpful to you, if this is meaningful for someone that you know in your life. You know what to do. The like, subscribe, the forward, all those good things. Thank you.